Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 could save Marvel. Many of us have essentially stopped caring about Marvel since after No Way Home, but somehow, this random movie in the mix made us care. The franchise has a chance to let us forgive the yawn it has been for over a year. But where does it go from here? Before I start, I would like to clarify that this is not your far too typical essay on why Marvel's Phases 4 and 5 have been disasters. There's nothing I can say that has not been said. Please enjoy the video. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is being called one of the best Marvel movies to date, and the best in recent memory. But it seems kind of random, doesn't it? It's hard to deny that with all the She-Hulks and Ant-Man 3s and Thor 4s, Phases 4 and 5 have been subpar when stacked up against even the worst of earlier films. From effects to writing to humor, the franchise hasn't added up to any more than an annoyance. But here, the third installment in a spin-off series of movies is somehow masterful. Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 1 and 2 were great, sure, but great during Marvel's prime, where nearly every movie was. So, what made this diamond in the rough shine? I have a strong belief that the best Marvel movies have strong humor and emotion. Infinity War is one of the most fun and funny movie experiences I've ever had, despite the ending being one of the most tragic losses by the heroes of a movie ever. It explores every relationship between characters by testing the strength of their connection. Winter Soldier and Civil War have their fair shares of funny moments, despite the content of these movies being the backbone of the Avengers' downfall. And all three Guardians of the Galaxy movies are this perfect blend of funny moments and heartfelt moments. The chemistry between everyone in the crew lets the range of feelings feel natural, feel fluid, and I think this newest one may do it best. Drax, Mantis, and Peter continue to be the funniest Marvel characters, and they continue to riff off of each other. Even some of Nebula's most cringe-worthy lines landed, like the scene where they hint at a new love story between her and Peter. Please don't. Rocket scenes serve as a textbook tragic backstory, but they do more than this. They make you mad. I cannot remember how long it's been since I've seen a movie with an unapologetically evil villain, where the creators want you to hate him. Even a genuine monster and killer in Jeffrey Dahmer was transformed into a sob story about a broken man who is sympathized with by teenage girls en masse. Thanos is an incredibly fleshed out character and one of the best in the franchise, but even his plan to eradicate half of the universe is questionably understandable. But here, we have the High Evolutionary, who seemingly seeks perfection through animal torture and mutilation. Was his homeworld destroyed by wild animals? His family mauled by them? There must be a reason he takes innocent animals and surgically alters them mechanically and neurologically so that they are traumatized shells of their former selves, all while they are entirely conscious. And that made you mad, didn't it? You want to punch this guy in the face, don't you? The same way you want to punch Umbridge during Order of the Phoenix. I was waiting for the inevitable sob story about why this man does what he does. There was this scene near the end of the movie where the Guardians gang up on HE and pull his skin back to reveal the major scars Rocket caused him years ago. This is where I expected him to start rambling about the history of his need to change things, or why he has such a disregard for living beings. This is where I expected him to be given justification and a second chance, as Adam Warlock was. But this villain does not need to be given justification because he is not searching for it. He does not care what you think because once he is done with you, he will be thrown away like a broken tool. But Rocket is not just another animal to be tested and improved on. Rocket is smarter than his creator, and that drives HE insane. How is his own creation better? This is where both us and him see how evil HE is. Instead of working with him, learning from him, creating this perfect world with him, HE kills Rocket's only friends and tries to rip him apart to find out why he's smarter. This shapes Rocket as a person. This is why he's obsessed with robotic body parts. This is why he's so uncertain of who or what he is. There's this constant back and forth. Wholesome plot A, depressing plot B, funny plot A, heart-wrenching plot B. It maintains the feel of the prior Guardian movies while adding a pinch of realism and backstory that it needed. Marvel knows it needs that feel to keep its audience, but James Gunn handles it differently than before here. Whereas most movies, even Guardians Volumes 1 and 2, would interrupt heartfelt scenes with cheap jokes when the tension gets too high. This clip from Guardians 2 is an excellent example.
Earth to see her 3 times, and I knew if I returned a 4th, I'd never leave. The expansion, reason for my very existence would be over, so I did what I had to do. But it broke my heart to put that tumor in her head.
Who in the hell do you think you are?
You killed my mother!
I tried so hard to find the form
That best suited you! And this is the thanks I get?
Instead of letting the emotion last through the scene, movies think they can't have emotion in what's supposed to be a happy movie. But instead of making it awkward, James Gunn separates the separate emotion into distinct parts. After watching this movie in theaters, I couldn't help but wonder why I was glued to the screen. She-Hulk was background noise, and it wasn't even worthy of background noise for the latter half. I don't even remember what happened in Quantumania or Love and Thunder because I zoned out and started thinking about my math homework. Even Shang-Chi, one of my favorite Marvel movies in recent years, had me falling asleep by the 3rd act. But these distinctive parts are why I was never bored. When I was getting tired of the playfulness of the A-plot, Rocket's B-plot would come in and make me pay attention again. When I was getting too close to tearing up from Rocket's B-plot, the A-plot would come in and give me a couple easy chuckles. There was never an oversaturation of things, and that's the key to making things land. If it was just Rocket and Rocket and Rocket, it would be labeled as a sad movie. If it was just jokes and jokes and jokes, it would be labeled as just another Marvel movie. But not letting either side take over makes for a spectacular film. The end of this movie is the definition of bittersweet. The Guardians agree that it's time to move on to other things and disband the team. Drax, Nebula, Rocket, and Groot stay on Nowhere to look after the thousands of new inhabitants. Mantis leaves to look for her true meaning in life. Peter goes back to Earth to reconnect with what's left of his family. Gamora goes back to the Ravagers. While this is a hard pill to swallow, this is the right direction. Their story has been told. Drax is a father now. Mantis has never had the spotlight. Peter needs to face his past. It's just right. But they could very easily pull a Star Wars and mess this up. As far as I can tell, James Gunn has zero jurisdiction over these characters now. He's moved on to DC, and that leaves the future up to Disney. Terrifying words. I love these characters as much as the next guy, but too much of a good thing can quickly become too much of a bad thing. Even then, it's not like we're really saying goodbye.
I'm gonna go get us some punch.
Peter's bound to make some cameos on movies taking place on Earth. There's bound to be some Disney Plus shorts taking place on Nowhere. Mantis, who seems to be the farthest gone, is extremely tied to Kang in the comics, who is the Thanos of the next few phases. A cheap movie back together would make them a lot of money and officially put Marvel 6 feet deep.